Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today, we are speaking with Colleen Fletcher. She is a somatic wellness guide. Welcome to the show, Colleen. It's so nice to have you with us today.
Hi, Jill. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
After both of us had kind of interesting mornings.
Yes.
And we're hoping for the best for today, the rest of the day. So, Colleen, tell me a little bit about what it means to be a somatic wellness guide.
So for me, somatics is the body, mind, spirit aspect. And it also pulls in a lot of other licensings, certifications that I have. I am headed into my 29th year of business. So I've done it before all of the coaching industry got popular, all that type of thing. It's just kind of been what I do. And that's really for me where I decided I've always just called myself a guide or a friend. Any of those things works for me. And it's just because, the industry wasn't there. I've just been doing it. So hands-on body work, skincare, dealing with the subconscious, conscious mind as well. So that's really what it means to me. A lot of different, avenues to help the whole of one individual.
Do you mostly focus on women or do you do both?
I'm in a different state now than when I started. When I started my business, it was about 50-50, but now it's 99% women, almost 100% women now. Yeah.
So are you doing coaching sort of full time? I know you're like more than a coach. You're more like you become friends. And I think that happens to everybody. You work with somebody and you have this connection that it's really hard to just say, no, you're just the client.
Right. And that kind of stuff, that just comes down to boundaries in my mind of where we're going to go. So we can be friends and clients first type of thing. A lot of them don't get invited over to the house and, the parties and that type of thing, but that's just a different classification of a friend for me. It just really is so much of, well, this might help to answer your question. When people come in, I still have them, 99% of them still want to lay down on my massage table. And so they can get, and it varies so much with clients because some are like, you know what? I just need a little bit of oil on my back. My skin's really dry and itchy. So I'm going to get completely undressed and I'm going to get under the sheets. Okay, fair enough. Whereas, they might do a little bit of skincare and little teeny bit of hands-on, just because that's what they're needing to feel nourished and fulfilled in the moment. And then we go in and do all of the guidance type work. So I ask everyone. I found out probably about 3 or 4 years ago that people found it very intimidating that I asked them so many questions when they first come in for their appointment. Well, I just thought it was normal that everyone should ask, how you doing? How's your body? What's going on with your thought processes? You know, everything like that. And one person finally admitted that, why do you do this? I'm like, well, because I want to help take care of you the best possible. And if I don't know what's going on, then how can I help you to the fullest amount? So that was an interesting revelation for me, that it's intimidating. And now I just tell people in the beginning, hey, I will always going to ask you lots and lots of different types of questions. I have a very big, long intake form. And I've had some people say that they don't want to fill it out. And I say that they can't come in unless they do, because it is so important for me to know all of that. Skincare is a great example of that, because if people, let's say you have family members coming into town and you're totally freaking out over it. So it's your nerves and all of your anxiety that is causing the skin rash. That's going to be a different type of treatment that I give you than, oh, I got into some plants that gave me an allergic reaction. So ultimately same same type of process we're doing skincare, but totally divergent ways to come about that. So for me, that's a really big, important aspect of asking so many questions. So I can give you that whole aspect, that whole well-being for where you're at today.
I think people are used to going into the doctor's office and you fill out that it's actually a rather short form.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of like, used to call it pencil whipping it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're really trying to find the root of the problem, you have to ask way more questions than that, because you're not just like slathering on something to treat the symptom. You're trying to figure out what the root cause is so that you can really fix the problem. And I think people sometimes don't really understand that. It takes a lot of questions to get to what is actually causing this problem. When it comes to skincare, it could even be something they're thinking about.
Yeah.
It can manifest in your skin. It's like,
well, and where on your face or body does it turn up? That pulls in that whole other part of metaphysics as well. If you chronically have a rash on your arm, why, where exactly is that coming from? So those are the things that I really, really get deep and ask about as well. So now I just tell people up front, because I didn't realize, you know, how sometimes you just think it's normal and you don't realize what you're doing. So now I just tell everyone, I'm always going to ask you a lot of questions. It's very, very, very important. I suggest that people write notes down in between this appointment and their upcoming appointment, so that they can give me the timeline with it too. So now people whip out their phones and tell me everything. It's awesome. It's very, very helpful.
And for them too, because they're going to get a solution versus just a Band-Aid.
Right.
I have personal experience with people who have chronic problems, and they think that they're just going to go to the doctor and the doctor's magically going to read their mind and tell them what's wrong. It's like, if you give them some data,
right,
you're setting them up to actually be able to give you some information back. They can look at the data and they can give you suggestions rather than just saying, here, take this pill.
Yeah.
Hope it works for you.
And I think people forget too that I'm not just offering them a natural alternative for just a pill type of thing. It's like, well, sometimes this is work. You know, we gotta do some digging around in here and see what else is going on. So
It's not normal that you can just take a pill and hope that everything will be better for you without making changes in your life, because whatever you were doing brought you to the point that you're at right now. So you can't really expect to be able to continue doing whatever it is that you're doing, no matter how comfortable you are with it, because it's causing you some problems. Just like,
it makes sense to me. I mean, it really, really does. I think a lot of it is still, for me anyway, is trying to get the best way to, the easiest, most understandable way for people to hear that as well in their life also. So,
yeah. And it can even be things that are good for you. Like, broccoli is supposed to be good for you, but it is actually not good for everyone. There
right.
are people that broccoli doesn't agree with their system.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
shouldn't eat broccoli.
I agree completely. Yes. And how are you going to find out about that if you don't ask questions? So,
Right?
yeah. Yeah.
So you work with Reiki, and what other modalities are you using to help people?
So I am a massage therapist. My main focus with massage is posture rebalancing and the somatic aspect, the body work, not just like a Swedish massage. So the body work with that. And then I'm an esthetician, I'm a hypnotist, I'm a metaphysician, I'm a Reiki master. I think I got them all. A natural intuitive as well. I didn't know as a kid that most people were not the way I was at all. So, I just assumed everyone else knew what I knew and could do what I did. And it took me a long time to find out that that's not true. So,
It's interesting how everybody is gifted slightly differently. And I think it's just becoming really in the last few years apparent to people that, hey, I am different and it's okay. And I can help people because not everybody's like me. I've got some gifts that I am here to share with everybody else.
right.
And that's what really excites me about the way the world is going right now.
I think so too. I have noticed such a difference in the industry. And I mean, it is, I really, I almost don't have words for how different it is. Well, I mean, what I can say is I didn't have a computer. This would have never happened easily at all. I still have old notes from when I got my first computer of newsletters I sent out. And before that, I remember going to photocopy them and folding them and putting them in an envelope and mailing them out.
I remember when the first business I ever started was a cleaning business. And I went door to door. And passed out flyers and talked to people, and I built a pretty good business just doing that. But there was no computer. I got yelled at for putting flyers in people's mailboxes. Apparently they belong to the post office, not us, even though we buy them.
Right.
So back in the 80s.
Yeah, it is. So, with that perspective, those are the things I can talk about the most with the changes. The rest of it, it's like, oh, Oh, it's huge. You know, that's the other thing I forgot to mention too, is I've done, I'm a meditation instructor, and the meditations I've done for, oh my goodness, I'm probably going on 51 years now, something like that. And people ask how I can do a meditation in silence. I'm like, well, because when I started in the early 70s, there was nothing like any of this stuff. So you did just sit and do it. Just, can't you just close your eyes and turn your brain off and do this? And,
No.
right, right. But I grew up doing that. So it's interesting. And that's another one of the things that I can say that I really, really have noticed a shift with it. Now it has to have all of these things. You have to have a candle and, all the stuff. And I'm like, no, you're always with yourself, no matter what you have surrounding you. So just close your eyes and sit and breathe for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, start with 2 or 3 if you're just starting out, because it's a really long time.
Yeah, it is. So
And then when you practice for a while, 20 minutes goes by and you're like, what? It's already 20 minutes?
no way.
No way.
Yeah. Now we have these timers to set, and you can hear these gongs going off. I'm like, all right. So, yeah, it's interesting stuff, isn't it? How everything has shifted and changed.
Yes. And I think it was going in a bad direction for a while, but I think it really has shifted a lot.
Mhm.
And as people become more aware, I think it's even more self-aware that, you can be responsible for yourself. You can demand that people respect certain qualities about you.
Mhm.
Boundaries are starting to be talked about in a way that they were never talked about before. We had manners before.
Right.
When I was young, we had manners. Everybody knew what manners were. But then we went for like probably 20 years, maybe even longer, 30 or 40, where people were confused about what the manners were supposed to be. So we had no way of really understanding how society expected us to interact with one another. You open the door for girls. Well, then the girls got all offended, and so guys didn't know what to do. And so girls were opening doors for guys. And everybody just got confused about what is the norm. And then boundaries came along, and boundaries are really an interesting phenomenon. They help us interact with other people. It's really all that they're about. That we decide what we're willing to tolerate, what we like, and
What we're comfortable with.
what we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And we learn how to express that to other people, and we learn how to find out from them what is comfortable for them also. And when we respect each other's boundaries, it really helps the flow of communication, the lack of judgment, because who am I to judge somebody else's boundaries?
Right.
I only have to worry about my own.
Right. Right.
And it just makes life so much easier.
I agree. I like the boundaries. I do. And
too.
I think a lot of times people still have that perception that, a boundary is this hard line. It's like, no, I mean, with some things, yeah, and that's acceptable as well. But beyond that, I just think that they allow communications and verbal communications and physical communications, all these different things. So I agree. I like the boundaries. I like the fact that it has shifted beyond just set rules or manners.
I do too. And it allows a freedom of of really introspection,
Mhm.
because it requires introspection on an individual's part to decide what do I want?
Yes.
What are my core values?
And what don't I want
Mhm,
as well, which is another big part of it, I think.
mhm.
Mhm.
And it allows us to make better choices in the people that we're going to interact with.
Mhm.
And we can choose to not interact with them if they're out of alignment. And it doesn't have to be a
Right.
forever thing, but sometimes you just need to move them to the outer boundaries.
Yes.
And it's
Outside of your circle and, over here.
and you
What?
don't have to have any judgment about whether you like them or not.
Yep.
They're just not fitting in with the way that you're trying to hold space in your life, in your reality that you've created.
Right. Right.
And you can still respect them over there.
Yes. Yep. I think it's great as well for working with ideal clients, for work type of things. These are the kind of people that I really, really resonate with. I like that. So for me, it's not exactly the same thing, but kind of almost the same thing. I'm just doing it in a professional setting of what I'll tolerate. Like for me, one of the biggest things, you respect me and my time. I don't like working with people that are constantly 15, 20 minutes late. It's not going to work for me. So
Yeah,
that's boundary.
yeah. And, people need to have integrity. They need to
Yeah.
show up when they say they're going to show up. And if they don't, well, you don't respect me very much. So I don't feel the need to respect
Yeah.
you either over there.
My boundary is going to go here, and that's not going to work for me for sure. So, yeah,
So
those are
do
the
you do
things I've really noticed with shifting with work.
do you do most of your work online or offline in person?
Both. Yeah. Like today, I'm at my office. I have 2 clients this evening. So I I was here instead of my home office. I am doing more with the online and like because I have products. I sell organic skincare and body care and makeup and
Mhm.
things that you would find in a meditation space. So I have that. So that that's still probably about 50-50 of in person and online. So the online space is where obviously, it's an easier, well, it's a harder space to grow in, but the one that once you get there can really help to be very fulfilling. And that's where I'm headed with things too. But I still love my hands on.
Well, yeah, because it's like human connection. I think we've been craving that for so long, and now we're coming full circle to like
Yeah,
let's interact one on one with people
right.
and have meaningful conversations and make the world a better place.
Absolutely. So I'm at the stage now too where I physically cannot do that many clients. I used to do, 5 a day, 6, 7 days a week. And well, that just hurts anymore. So I really, for the preservation of my own body, I don't do as many of the physical hands-on type of stuff as well. I can balance it out if a lot of it is energy work. Those are not quite as the physically demanding of my hands and shoulders and arms. So, but I think I have a
Massage is
pretty good balance with it. Yeah.
massage is a big deal to be a
Mhm.
massage therapist. It takes a lot out of you. It
Mhm.
just touching people
Mhm.
for long periods of time. You absorb their energy and
Got to have
they're
good
there for a
boundaries for
reason.
that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
So the coaching part you do online as well as offline.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
do you just do one-on-one or do you do group coaching at all?
With that right now, it is definitely still one-on-one, whether it's online or in person.
Mhm.
I will probably start doing more of that. I have a membership program, and that's where a lot of things are going to start to filter through into that. You know, like right now I have Reiki sessions up there. I can, it's my big time, more evergreen type of business aspect that I have. So yeah, yes is probably the answer of it's going to go more online in that direction. A lot of trainings.
Like you're training people to be Reiki practitioners.
Reiki in itself is one that I do one-on-one. I can do group sessions, or group trainings, but I want everyone to have the same theme. I work very differently with how I train for the Reiki. And I call it Reiki in the real world. And it's something that I want to help train you so it's very specific to your goals. So let's just take a real estate agent, right? I want to be able to train them, yes, in Reiki 1 and 2, absolutely, and how to work with that for themselves and how to work with others, all the normal things you think of with that. And then I also want that to know what their process is for buying and selling homes. So let's say that you have a whole checklist of things that you do when you're selling a home with a buyer. I want you to know exactly what stage in that list and how to utilize Reiki for each one of those as well. I had someone that wanted to really immerse herself in the Reiki training with nature. So she sent me the coordinates on a map to the mountains in Oregon, and off I went. And I found the coordinates on a map and we did Reiki outside, and that was her training because that's really what she wanted. So to so deeply connect with the earth. We did a lot with the waterways as well of the world. I had someone else that wanted, she does food prep, and she wanted every single stage of buying the food coming into her space, the food preparation, every single thing to be infused with Reiki. So we went through that whole process. So that's the biggest difference with how I do my Reiki trainings, is they are very, very individual with the rest of the trainings as well. If that makes any sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, it's the one thing that I thought, oh, I am going to niche down so hardcore in this one. And man, is it ever so much more fulfilling. So much more fulfilling and very, I started seeing a lot of other people that were getting training and they were still coming to me of, Colleen, now what do I do? I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry you didn't get the full training. They had no idea why their hands were feeling funky because no one talked about it. No one talked about, well, I really don't know if I feel this at all. How do I tell if I feel this? And I'm like, okay, so I was retraining people anyway. So that's really what started it, is like, this is not how I want to see people learn something like Reiki. I want them to get it for what works in their life. So
I'd imagine there's like the basics.
Yes.
Because you have to know, how it functions before you can like apply it.
Right.
So
right.
there's like the basics, and then there's the specialized applied section.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what I do with it. You really, get a lot of stuff crammed in the beginning, and then we like slow down, like, okay, I need to know exactly what your process is with it. You know, like the person with the food, I have been to her business and we went through step by step. Okay, well, this table is going to be used for this, use Reiki, do this at this time, and boom, boom, boom. So it's cool. It's really a fun way to do it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
So
it is.
you offer calming meditation
Mhm,
on your website. You want to
mhm.
tell people about that a little bit?
I want, whether you have been meditating for 50 years like I have, or whether you have no idea what you're doing with it at all, I want something that you can at least listen to and take a breath of fresh air. Just sit for a few minutes and just chill. Doesn't matter what level you're at all with it. So that is that meditation. I can say that it's simple, but is any easy meditation simple? You can still get great power and that self-wellness with it. I prefer to use the term self-wellness instead of self-care, because I like the whole big part of it, not just, oh, I'm just going to do this once. And that's where I like this meditation, that it's just calming. You can take a nap afterwards, just chill out. It's the simplicity of something that is so empowering. So that's this meditation for sure. And I'd love for everyone just to check it out. Just take a few minutes, just a few minutes every day for you, because that circles in my mind right back to, what's your version of beauty? Well, maybe it is just a nap for 5 minutes, maybe that's what you need.
Yeah, and that's giving yourself permission to
Mhm.
take a break.
Absolutely. Yes. And maybe setting some new boundaries for yourself too with it, of, I need this now. We're going to go here. I need this for me, and not being mean about it. Just realizing it's okay to do that, which again, for me, falls into that self-wellness.
So how would people know if they would be a good fit for you? Or what would they be thinking about if they wanted, if what are your clients thinking about before they come to you?
Because I
Does
have
that
a
make
lot
any
with the
sense?
skincare, and I got it. Yeah. If not, we'll revisit it. How's that?
Perfect.
Um, because I have the natural skincare and things like that, they don't have to lean toward wanting natural skincare, but it makes it so much easier. Because so often, if all they want is the quick fix and that type of thing, that's not going to resonate quite as much with me. I can say that I work with women that are 35 to 50 years old. I can do that one as well. I personally really go more toward that we resonate together. They care about nature. They care about the whole aspect of life and wellness and inner beauty for themselves. So those are the biggest things with it. I do resonate quite a bit with creative people. So if you're super analytical, I can do it, because I'm married to someone that is like that. So I can, but normally it's the people that are just creative people work really well with me. So it's fun.
That's awesome. And how can they get in touch with you?
Website, social media, and my website is Colleen-Fletcher.com. social media, most of them, they're either going to be Colleen D. Fletcher or Colleen Fletcher 3. Because there were, 3 Colleen Fletchers before me that got the Gmail account. Right?
Isn't that so interesting how you have discovered how many people there are with your same name out there?
Yep.
I run into quite a few Jill Harts. And when I was growing up, I never knew another Jill. I didn't start meeting people named Jill until I was in my 50s, that was another thing. Like, I had gone my whole life until I turned 50, not knowing another Jill in the world.
Yeah, that's interesting because Jill to me is far more common than Colleen. I grew up on the West Coast of the US, so there's not as many Colleens. I know on the East Coast that's different. But I never did. And now I do know someone that has my exact name. She reached out to me years ago and we've become friends. And then she got married and doesn't have it anymore. So I told her I can't be friends with her. Which isn't true at all. But yeah.
I've become friends with some other Jill Harts also.
It's interesting. So that is those are the best ways. I am fairly active on social media, probably more so Instagram and Facebook. Trying to do more with TikTok and that kind of thing. YouTube is a great way to see a lot of my meditations. I have a very regular monthly meditation. It's called You, Me, and the Trees. And that one, I have a group for it on Facebook that, I love the trees as well. So I love having pictures of trees. And then the meditations themselves are put up on YouTube. And yeah. And then the best, honestly, is because there's so much content just on my website as well. So that's it.
Perfect. So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with today?
Smile, because you can change your world and you can change our world through a smile.
Absolutely. I love that. We'll leave it with that.
Perfect. Yes.
Thanks, Colleen, for joining me.
So much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.